Welcome to that Groovy Scoobcast, your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo.
We are jumping into Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue this week, and I am not excited.
It's okay, at least we have each other.
Yeah, but you're not pancakes.
Twitter has been all over our asses this week about this series.
And I have been on your side, Twitter.
Yeah, Shannon?
I didn't like it.
No?
No.
I made Shannon keep her rating from me intentionally, so I can be genuinely surprised when we talk about this episode.
You're going to be genuinely unhappy.
This week we watched the first episode of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, titled Shags to Riches. Before we dive into that review, though, we're going to begin with our weekly Mystery Machine match.
I know my questions are kind of easy for you.
Okay.
I think you'll get them, but, my questions are kind of random, so I don't know.
I haven't even read your questions yet, so we'll see.
Joyful.
Well, as always, you can go first.
What is the color of the handkerchief Yabba Doo wears around his neck?
Is it red?
Yeah.
Is it red?
Yeah.
Awesome. I've, really never watched that cartoon, so that was just a genuine guess.
Oh, that's upsetting.
All right, here's your first question. In 1979, what younger pup became Scooby-Doo's partner?
Shaggy.
Yeah, it was Shaggy.
I have this stupid thing. It's Scrappy.
Yes.
There's too many fucking S's, man. I can't do it.
You're right. All right, well, what's your next question?
Who appeared on the show as a policeman in the spoof of Mayberry RFD?
I don't know. Speed Buggy?
No. Don Knotts.
Oh.
I don't even know, what kind of hint to
I
give
don't
you
know
on that.
what that was. For some reason, I thought that was the episode with Speed Buggy in it, but I was wrong. All right, Shannon, here's your next question. Name the girl who Shaggy gets a crush on in Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders.
I don't remember her name. I don't.
I like how you get these questions about this movie that, you love.
I don't remember it. I remember liking it, but
Yeah.
I don't remember it. I loved the movie, but I can't tell you any details about it. I know there were some aliens.
Tell me her name.
I don't remember.
I'll give you a hint. It's kind of like a gemstone.
Sapphire?
Crystal.
Okay. That would have been my second guess. I just thought it would be something exciting.
What's your last question, Shannon?
What monster chases Fred and his cyber double in the amusement park during Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase?
That would be the Gator Ghoul.
Yeah.
All right. Here's your last question. The Scooby-Doo gang encounters what ancient monster inside the Forbidden Pyramid?
I don't know.
Think the most obvious thing you would think of with a
The
pyramid.
mummy monster?
It was the mummy. I'm
Yeah.
going to give it to you. There you go. All right, Shannon, well, what is the final tally for this week?
You are still 4 points ahead of me.
Am I?
Yeah.
What's the final tally?
You have 22,
Okay.
and I have 18.
All right, well, that was this week's Mystery Machine match. You ready to talk about your favorite episode you've ever seen in Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we start this episode, I did want to say that we did ask our listeners on Twitter, what their thoughts are on this series. We got actually quite a few responses. I was showing them to Shannon, and we were both giggling because we have very differing opinions on this episode. Scooby-Doods responded saying, there are some funny moments, but it is without a doubt the worst series in the Scooby-Doo canon.
I do agree with them.
You think?
Yes.
Worse than the new Scooby-Doo movies?
Yeah. To an extent.
I really disagree with you there.
I mean, I don't like the new Scooby-Doo movies at all, but I hated this.
We'll expand on your thoughts in a moment. Creed Stonegate responded saying, Didn't like it just by look when it came out, but after watching it, it's great. And this art style is still way better than Be Cool.
I disagree.
I'm glad that he likes the episode, but the thing is, I don't know, Be Cool Scooby-Doo, there's a reason why it looks the way it does.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how the trendy cartoons look nowadays.
Well, and like, they weren't trying to be a normal Scooby-Doo cartoon. It was supposed to be like a
really up-to-date,
yeah,
modern version, modern take. Meanwhile, I don't really know what kind of style Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue was going for, so I see what he's saying there, at least.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo DC Comics responded saying, it's actually an interesting series if you come in terms with the fact that this is an action show, not a mystery-solving, ghost-catching one. The animation grows on you, and there is a good overarching story, though the hints they throw are not subtle and spoil the surprise.
I'll probably still be surprised.
I agree. You probably will.
Not that I'm stupid, but like, I don't go for subtle hints. You gotta throw it in my face before I'll get it.
This person makes a good point, though, that it's not your traditional mystery-solving series. Kind of like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. We needed to establish that it's not your normal Scooby-Doo story.
And I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, I got over that fairly quickly. I just didn't like the rest of it.
Okay. I think the animation is something that people tend to blow up on these kind of cartoons, and it's just not something that, in terms of style, I'm personally offended by, or that it turns me off to the series entirely. Like, I can still appreciate the show for what it is, despite how it looks.
Exactly. And after we had watched Mystery Incorporated, and then we went on to Be Cool, I had flat out told you I didn't really want to watch the series because I didn't like the animation. It didn't look interesting. But after watching it, like, it's actually one of my favorite series. It had a lot of funny moments in it. And I was hoping the same thing would happen with this, where I'd go, oh, this looks so stupid. I don't want to watch it. The funny moments weren't super there for me.
Okay. Well, the last one we have two more, actually. Conal JT responded saying, simply put, I hate it. It really is the worst Scooby-Doo series. From the theme song to the animation to the lack of Fred, Daphne, and Velma, it's just bad. Bad, 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 and bad. End of rant.
I did hate the intro.
It divides people. It's not my favorite. It kind of gets repetitive and annoying. So I agree there.
I feel like some rock stars were sitting around drunk and they were like, how many times can we say Scooby-Doo or Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue?
Until people lose their minds.
Yeah. And then we'll sing it all day long.
Right.
And I think that was I think those were the only words.
The final tweet that we got that I wanted to at least read was from ScoobyFan.net. They responded saying, it's a fun premise, but I've never been able to get past the animation and Shaggy's obnoxious voice. I am going to talk about Shaggy's voice later on after the episode, because it's actually part of my fun fact for the week. But I thought that we should, discuss these tweets, because I'm glad to see that we have a very divided audience when it comes to this show. Some people like it, some don't. One of us like it, one doesn't. So,
and we like hearing from you guys. It keeps us interested.
Definitely keep responding to our tweets. We love to hear what you guys have to say, always. So here's the premise for this episode. Shags to riches, coming from Scoobypedia. Shaggy's uncle disappears, leaving him all his money and his estate. While exploring, Shaggy and Scooby find a message from Uncle Albert explaining that he went into hiding because someone is after his latest invention. Now Shaggy and Scooby must solve this mystery before it's too late. What were your initial thoughts, Shannon, on Shags to riches?
So it opens up with, you just hear this loud, obnoxious chewing and swallowing and slurping, and it's disgusting. I heard one of the other customers say something about it being a family establishment.
Yes, I heard that too.
I loved that. Because that was my thought, was like, that's disgusting. I would be so upset if I went somewhere to eat and somebody was in there. Like, it was nasty.
It was.
So he's all slurping, and then he says something about the poster on the wall about all you can eat. And he throws, like, he doesn't let go of the pizza, but he, like, shoves it that way.
We're talking about Shaggy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it sticks
all the
to the
cheese
sky.
Like, hanging on that guy's head.
And, if I was that guy...
He had a right to be mad. He had a real legitimate right to be mad there.
And my thing is, I hear you say that often with things that Scooby and Shaggy do.
What are you talking about?
Where, like, they'll do something and, yes, they have... Like, the other person always has a reason to be mad.
Yeah. Because they're assholes.
Because they do dumb shit, yeah.
They are inconsiderate assholes. I noted, during the scene, everyone just looks really pissed.
Yes.
There was this guy who was, like, grinding his teeth. He was so angry.
You have to be so actively angry to grind your teeth while you're awake and, like, staring at someone.
And that's what he was doing. He was just, like, dead eye staring at them. So that's when Shaggy and Scooby realize as they're eating the food that it starts to taste funny. Shaggy says that his taco smells like Scooby's foot. And it turns out that they are in the middle of a group hypnosis. Call back to the dynamic Scooby-Doo affair.
Can we talk about having a combo food dream?
Like, that's intense.
I would not mind that, though. Like...
You and I have probably had one of those at one point. I theorized that really depressing night we had at McDonald's was a group hypnosis.
I'd be fine with that. Because that was not real.
But it turns out that Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, they're actually in Shaggy's house. And they're about to eat each other because they are so hungry. So, for one, Shaggy is willing to eat Scooby.
Let's just keep that in mind for later.
I'm not mad about Scooby wanting to eat Shaggy because you hear about dogs attacking people all the time. Like,
he's a dog,
they're animals, yeah. But Shaggy is willing to eat Scooby.
In a dire case.
But this is not a dire case.
There's no food in the house. Scooby just wanted pancakes.
Yes. They're going to the kitchen to see what food is in there. Maybe they have something. And Scooby's really excited about having pancakes. And it turns out they have nothing in the house. I noticed that Shaggy's house is trashed. It's garbage.
They never do dishes, never take out the trash.
Terrible looking.
Yeah.
I'm just like, at the same time, I'm not surprised.
Not at all.
If it's Shaggy and Scooby living on their own, yeah, it's going to be like that. So they're sitting on the couch now. They're all sad and hungry. And that's when Shaggy reassures Scooby. It's like, it's okay, Scooby. At least we have each other. And then Scooby responds,
yeah, but you're not pancakes. Like, Scooby just wanted some pancakes, man. Just let the poor kid have his pancakes.
There's times where, like, I feel like Scooby does not value his friendship with Shaggy as much as Shaggy does with Scooby.
Yeah.
Like last week when we were talking about Goldpaw and Scooby made that sly comment about Shaggy's appearance.
Yep. Like, Shaggy is just there to put food in the bowl sometimes.
He's not there for, like, genuine,
emotional
friendship.
Content. But sometimes that's our relationship.
Is it? Who's feeding who here?
Sometimes you just feed me, and that's just what our friendship is.
Okay. So Shaggy gets a phone call. It doesn't say from who, so I'm going to assume it's like his uncle's lawyer.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was such an odd phone call because in a case like that, first off, shouldn't he know his uncle is missing? If him and his uncle are so close, or like if his uncle loves him that much or whatever, like, shouldn't he be aware that his uncle is missing? Because usually you're gone for, like, a while before they finally declare you missing and, like, start giving your shit away.
Well, this is a self-initiated missing case, so I'm going to assume that, like, he gave his lawyer instructions. Like, he probably disappeared the day before.
Okay.
Like, it probably hasn't been a super long time, so I'm not going to blame Shaggy for that.
Okay. So I can accept that. But also, what an odd phone call. Like,
yes.
You're just going to call up and be like, hey, your uncle's missing. He's leaving you $1 billion, and you get a mansion.
By the way. Now, it makes it sound like he left it behind as like an inheritance. Can you do that? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that Uncle Albert can't just give him the money or the mansion, but do inheritances work like that when someone goes missing? Can you write that into a will? Like, if I'm not dead, but like I go missing, can you leave behind things like that?
Well, that's why I was confused, because to a certain extent, like once you're declared missing, I think it's after a while. Like you're gone for like a few years, and then finally, like when the police stop investigating,
that's when they declare
and like
you dead.
Yeah, they declare you dead because they're like, there's no other leads we can find. Like you're just straight up gone.
Well, that makes sense because then you're declared dead.
Yeah.
But we know that Uncle Albert isn't dead.
Exactly.
He's just missing. I just don't understand, like, if that's even possible. Like, right now, as it stands, he's not declared dead.
I don't think so.
He's just missing.
Unless he put something in there, like, if I'm declared missing,
And is this by a will, or is this just him being like, oh, hey, Shaggy, I'm going to be gone for
a little while.
Here's
a mansion.
Here's a mansion and $1 billion.
Maybe. I mean, okay, well, with what you said, if he told his lawyer what's going on, then he may have, like, written up something of, like, I want to
leave, like, my estate and everything in the hands of somebody.
Yeah. Be like, I'm going to go missing soon.
It's like, this is my next of kin,
yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
Or maybe just say, like, I'm going missing, declare me dead right away. Like, maybe he faked his own death. I don't really know.
Legal conversations on Scooby-Doo are quite fascinating. So after the phone call, Shaggy immediately calls Fred, Daphne, and Velma to let them know that now they're billionaires. Shaggy's super excited. He's literally floating off the floor.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how he was floating because that was weird.
He tells the gang he's hyperventilating.
I'm sorry. He tells the gang we're rich.
Oh, like the whole gang. That's right.
And, like, what a nice friend. Because I love you, Derek. But if I won $1 billion, I'd pay off your student debt.
Thank you.
But, like, I'm not, like, that's it. Like, you get, like, I'm setting you up, but, like, I'm not splitting it with you. It's not our money. Like, I'll treat you. You've been a great friend. But, like, it's not
my money.
It's not our money. Like,
right.
It's my money.
So Shaggy's really generous.
Yeah.
He's a really generous guy.
Flat out tells him, write anything you've ever wanted. I'm buying it. Meet me at the mansion.
Make a list of anything you've ever wanted.
But meet me at the mansion. Like, that's how he ends the phone call.
Is that how he ended the phone call?
He's like, he goes, write a list of anything you've ever wanted. We're buying it for you. Meet us at the mansion. And he hangs up, and that's when Scooby goes, meet us where? And he's like, yeah, we got that too.
Oh, okay. Well, I did make a note too, because Shaggy was hyperventilating at first on the phone, so he wasn't able to tell them. The gang wasn't able to understand what he was saying. So he hands the phone over to Scooby, and Scooby tells Velma what Shaggy said. And, I already know what Shaggy said, or tried to say, so I'm trying to, like, listen to Scooby repeat it. And I don't know if this is just how the voice actor was instructed to voice him in this instance, but it sounded like fucking garbage.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't understand it.
You could not understand it. I'm assuming it's maybe just for the joke. Mm-hmm. You can't understand it, but Velma clearly gets it. Like, she understood every single word.
Because she's so smart.
But that was garbage.
Because it was just...
Aurelian Brothers.
Well, and I made a note later on about... They make jokes that could actually be funny. Like the whole him getting tongue-tied and everything, funny. And then they just take it that one step too far that's like, it's not funny anymore.
Okay.
So it's like, had he just been like, oh, I'm so tongue-tied, I can't say it, ha ha. And you're kind of like, huh, that, like I would be too, ha. And then... They
just become self-aware of their joke, and then they just try to go over the top.
Yeah, and then they're like, let's keep going. Like when little kids make a joke and they're like, oh, you found it funny, I'm going to keep going with it. And you're like, it's not funny anymore.
And then it gets annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Shaggy and Scooby, they drive the mystery machine to the mansion.
Because it's Shaggy's.
Yeah, so I guess in this canon at least, Shaggy's the owner. It is the classic mystery machine. Like, That is the Mystery Machine.
Except it tips over.
Right. They park it, and as they're walking up the stairs to the mansion, it just, for some reason, tips over.
It needed a nap. It was a long drive.
It's not explained. It just tips over. Shaggy's talking to Scooby about how his uncle mysteriously disappeared. We already went into all of that. That's when the door opens, and they meet Roby, who is Uncle Albert's first invention. He's a robot butler, and he's knows...
He's a fuck-up. He's a fuck-up butler. That's what he is.
Explain.
I literally just wrote, Roby is such a fuck-up, but I like him.
You like him, though?
I did. I liked him. I loved his little cheesy smile. That was kind of cute, because he'd like... It reminded me of just like, I fucked up, but I'm still cute.
It's a cute design. I do like Roby a lot as a character.
He just goes, let me get the door. Kapows his arms into the door and then just rips it off the hinges. And then he's just like, cheese. Like,
there's a running joke that he has throughout, I think, the entire series, at least through this episode that we saw. He goes, Master Shaggy, hello. And then he says, and you must be Scooby-Doo. And Scooby goes, Ruby-Roo. And then Roby responds, nice to meet you, Ruby-Roo. And that's a continuing joke.
Oh.
Like, that's going to continue for the rest of this series. He calls Scooby Ruby-Roo.
Joyful. So he rips the door off the hinges.
Right.
And then blasts through the wall.
Twice.
He
does it twice. He comes out of the kitchen once and then goes back into the kitchen. The reason why he's going into the kitchen in the first place is because he detects that Shaggy and Scooby are hungry. So he's going to go and fix them something to eat.
He's going to whip them up something.
Using a blender.
Because the blender has a whip setting.
But what's he going to make for them?
Apparently beans with a little bit of glass on the side.
While he's making something in the kitchen, Scooby and Shaggy go in the living room. They discover the giant flat screen TV. It's huge. And they find this bowl full of remotes. That's a huge pet peeve of mine whenever I go somewhere and I need to watch their TV and they have 6 TV remotes. Why do you have so many TV remotes?
I get 2 at most, and I hate it when there's 2. But I can get it sometimes because the TV and, the thing don't always match.
But there's, 10 in
But,
that bowl.
When there's 10, that does... you gotta label your shit, man.
And they're not all to the TV. They start messing with them, and they turn on the fountains outside and a disco ball inside.
The fountain would be nice, period. I would like a fountain like that outside my house. But I would keep the remote by the front door. Where I can...
somewhere, like with the yard maintenance maybe or something?
Where I can press the button and see if the fountain actually turned on.
Not next to my TV remote.
No.
So they're trying to figure this out, and that's when Roby returns with the plate that has the whipped beans and pieces of the shattered plates.
Yeah, the plate got a little cracked up in there.
He says that it is dangerous for consumption.
And then he gives that little cheesy smile that makes you forgive him.
I did something good. Yay.
He was like, but I fed you cheese. Because I was pissed. I'm like, why the fuck would you bring that? And then he went, cheese. And I was like, okay. So
it just goes to show, he's not aware that this is a problem.
He's like, it's unavailable for consumption. Here you go.
Well, Shaggy did say that, there were issues with Roby that Uncle Albert just never got around to fixing. So it's not Roby's fault.
He was too busy with nanotechnology.
So Shaggy and Scooby, they find a remote that they think is for the TV, but it turns out it's for a secret slide that goes down to Uncle Albert's secret lab.
Which I want.
You want a secret lab? It kind of reminds me of Dexter's Laboratory.
I was about to say that. Because I always wanted Dexter's Laboratory, especially behind a bookcase. I'd use it for something else.
Like?
My secret photo shoot room. Okay, imagine this. No, it'd be creepy. If you, came over to my house and I was like, okay, ready for your photo shoot? And I, pulled a book and I was like, come on! But that'd be creepy.
Terrifying.
That'd be creepy. Especially
Shannon, you're my best friend and I'm not doing that.
Could you imagine if you didn't know someone? You went over to their studio to, do it and, they just had, this nice little, secretary, not secretary room, but, front entrance room, and they were like, okay, pulled the book and was like, follow me to the photo shoot.
No.
Cut to me in 10 years.
When you have your $1 billion and you're paying off my student loans and you're keeping the rest to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they're in the secret lab, they find Uncle Albert's like teleporting technology, his shrink ray, which they have a good gag playing with. It can make you big, it can make you small.
Well, before that, he goes, let's not touch anything. Which made me laugh because, first off, like, you're going to live there forever.
This is your mansion right now. Like, this is your property.
And you're just not going to touch anything? But then immediately they're like, okay, let's race to the shrink ray.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not surprised at all. When they're fooling around, Shaggy accidentally falls, and he's now, like, underneath it's like a keyboard to one of the computers, and he finds a note that's been left to him and Scooby from Uncle Albert.
Which implies that Uncle Albert can see the future and knew that he would somehow fall down.
And find it there.
He knew his nephew.
The note basically explains that he's gone into hiding because he's fearing for his life, that there are people out there who want to use his formula that he's recently developed for evil. He created this secret formula. He doesn't really say what it is, except for the fact that it involves nanotechnology.
He does say that it can turn the person that takes the nanotechnology into anything.
He doesn't really, like, go into depth, though. It's really vague.
But I am a little interested. Will you know if Scooby just turns invisible every time he takes it? Or
No, he doesn't.
Okay, because I was going to say, I'm a little interested to see what Scooby's going to turn into.
I know some of the other powers, but I'm going to keep them from you, so they're a little bit of a surprise for you. But, invisibility is not the only thing that the nanotech can do. So they decide to print out a recipe for Scooby snacks that Uncle Albert has, as well as a recipe for hot dog tacos.
Which kind of reminded me of spaghetti tacos
from iCarly.
And I was like, I wouldn't knock it.
I would try it.
That's what we'll eat at the end of the season.
We'll eat hot dog tacos?
Hot dog tacos.
Okay, that'll be a celebration of the season ending.
Because I don't like hot dogs, but, like, I won't knock it till I try it.
Okay.
It's going to taste nasty as hell, but I'll try it.
So the loser of the Mystery Machine match now officially has to eat a hot dog taco.
Yep.
Okay. We got to first find a recipe for that.
I'm so not excited because I know it's going to be me.
Don't worry. I'll try it with you.
Okay.
Like, if I don't care who loses this case, but I will at least try it.
Okay.
So they're, going to make the hot dog tacos and the Scooby snacks. And they're like, I wonder what kind of bad people want to go after Uncle Albert. He's such a great guy.
Cut to the code name Kids Next Door, all grown up.
The agents do kind of look like number one. We're introduced to Dr. Phineas Vibes. He is what did he describe himself as? He described himself as a technology pirate.
So he steals other people's technology.
Makes sense. And he has a bunch of evil henchmen, his agents. I think he said that he has agents between 1 and 13, like their code numbers. And he's asking all of them about Uncle Albert's secret formula. No one has found it, and he threatens he actually does shoot a laser at one of his agents. I think it was Agent 3. Poor little Agent 3. He's a tiny little guy.
Well, in Agent 3, he goes to shoot him, and his laser falls off. And so Agent 3, hands it back to him and then gets shot. That's rude. And can we talk about how Phineas Vibe is actually a ruthless killer?
He is, but I want to save it for when that actually happens.
Okay.
Later on in the episode. He contacts his top two agents, Agents 1 and 2. They're currently surveilling the Shackleford Manor, and they're keeping track on the new inhabitants, Shaggy and Scooby. So, Agents 1 and 2, what were your thoughts on them, Shannon?
They're annoying. I'm going to hate them.
I'm not sure if they're supposed to be referencing something.
Honestly, they do remind me a lot of Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh, in their concept?
Yeah.
Their look?
Their look and then, a little bit of their attitude. Number 2, I don't know if you remember it vaguely. Number 2 was,
I remember number 2, yeah.
So he was, the fat kid that, was kind of a fuck-up most of the time. And, that's what this number 2 is.
Well, they more so remind me of, did you ever watch The Venture Brothers?
No.
Okay, so in The Venture Brothers, there's this, evil nemesis of Dr. Venture, the Monarch, and he has a bunch of evil agents too. Kind of like how Phoenix Vibes does. So I'm wondering, like, if one of them is parodying the other. I think it's probably this show that's parodying the Venture Brothers.
Probably.
And his top 2 agents are exactly like these two.
So that's
where one is taller and lanky, the other one's short and fat. The short, fat one's super stupid and goofy. The other one's really, like, stuck up.
Yeah, so that's probably what it's referencing then.
The dynamic just is very similar. I'm going to assume that one's riffing on the other. But you didn't like them?
They weren't my favorite, no.
Okay. Agent 2 wants to be referred to as Agent Striking Cobra because 2 is a stupid name for him. He says that he might as well be called, what do he call himself? Like Poopy Poo? Something like that.
I don't know.
It was something dumb.
He was shit, so I mean, we could have just called him that. Agent Shithead, like, can I call him that from now on? He's Agent Shithead. He wanted to change his name, that's what it is.
I'm not going to call him that, but you can if you want.
Okay. But so they get the orders to shoot first and ask questions later.
Doesn't make sense if you are trying to find information about somebody, but okay.
When you're trying to get intel, that's not what you want to do, but...
While they're standing outside getting their orders, Shaggy and Scooby are in the kitchen making the Scooby snacks and the hot dog tacos. I noted that, like, they're obliviously making the Scooby snacks using flasks and vials that you, like, use in a science lab.
Well, and we later find out that there's metal in the Scooby snacks. So they're obviously, like, following it to a T without questioning anything.
They're not looking at the ingredients and going, why is this going in there?
No. They're also Scooby and Shaggy. Like, they don't care. They're just going to eat it. I did want to talk about when they go to burn it and everything smokes up. And Shaggy opens the window. And so 1 and 2 are about to jump in. And then Scooby slams the window shut.
Oh, like not even seeing them trying to get in. And they slam the window on Agent 2's hand.
So first off, wouldn't you see a pair of big black gloves?
They're super oblivious. They're not seeing this.
And even so, I wanted to say, if I turned around, I know they didn't, but what would happen if they did turn around and just saw, you see how big his fingers get and they're wiggling around. It looks like an octopus. Mm-hmm. And like if I turned around and saw like a black octopus just wiggling in front of my window, I might freak out.
Well, you almost freaked out about that giant spider just a little bit ago when we were watching the episode.
That was really big and scary.
I think if you were in that situation, you would just die.
I probably would.
I think we talked about this before where, like, there was a giant spider in a Scooby-Doo episode we watched. And I was just like, your heart would just stop beating. You would just lie on the ground and not get back up.
Yeah, I can't. Spiders are my weakness.
So Agents 1 and 2, after they get Agent 2's hand free from the window, they go through the main entrance of the house. They're invited in by Roby, who doesn't know any better.
No, he's so cute.
They threaten him with a laser gun, and that's when
his titanium hull is impervious to lasers.
He just had to put that out there, and he's right. He is. So they try to shoot him, and it bounces off him. I think it's shot back at Agent 2.
Yeah, but then either they fire more lasers or that laser kept going.
Because it bounced off the mirror as well or something like that. Shot through the house into the kitchen, and as Shaggy and Scooby are pulling out the Scooby snacks, which are now finished from the oven, the laser burns them to a crisp.
If I hadn't eaten all day and someone burned my food like that, we'd be fighting.
While more lasers come, they cower on the floor as it's bouncing throughout the house, and Agents 1 and 2 confront them. Shaggy and Scooby hide behind Roby, and they're like, I don't know what you want.
They said, we want the formula, but we have orders to shoot first and ask questions later. So even if you know what it is, don't give it to us until after we shoot you.
Agent 1 looks at Agent 2 after he said that and was just like, are you fucking serious, dude? This is the idiot I work with.
And then Shaggy's response is, let's make like penguins, Scoob.
They slide on the floor that Roby just like mopped, so it's all slippery. And they go to the living room, right?
I think, yeah.
They're trying to escape to the secret lab. They grab a bunch of remotes because they can't remember which remote was the one that got them back into the lab.
And they're so cute about it. I'm sorry, that was a cute moment. A moment that they didn't ruin. Because Scooby goes, it's just a lot of pressure. And Shaggy goes, I know it's a lot of pressure, Scoob. but just try. And I'm like, that was such a moment.
They're pointing the remotes like everywhere, pressing buttons like they're shooting guns, I noticed. While Agents 1 and 2 show up with actual laser guns and are trying to shoot them.
With actual guns.
The funny thing is, they weren't using the right remotes to activate the secret lab entrance, but it opened anyway. Because fine, whatever. Yep. They do end up getting into the secret lab. All of them do. Agents 1 and 2 get squeezed by the entrance when it closes on them. Shaggy and Scooby get down there and they decide to hide by shrinking. So they shrink down to a tiny size and they hide on one of the lab shelves.
So then they try to shrink down because Scooby and Shaggy get big. And so they shrink down 1 and 2. Here's my example that I had written of a joke that was funny. And then they just kept going.
Okay.
So they shrunk them down, and then they got big, and then mid getting big, they shrunk them down again. And so their heads were big and their bodies were little.
Yes.
And that was funny. I did chuckle at that. But then they just kept going, and their legs were big, their guns were big, whatever was big. And it was like that, they just kept going. Like, just stop. It's fine. It was funny the first time. You're done.
You got tired of it quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair, I guess. They do end up capturing Scooby and Shaggy. They capture them in these, like, nets.
Yeah.
And they bring them back to Dr. Phineas Five's ship. So there, Dr. Phineas Fives, he threatens their lives and says that if they don't give him the secret formula, he's going to basically kill them.
He does something weird with his hair.
Right. He's got, like, a hairpiece, and it, like, hangs back. Like, it detaches from the top of his head, and it's, like, hanging back. And
I don't know if it's ever touching the top of his head. Because
I'm
if
not
you look
really
like
sure.
a few times, it looks like it's hovering just above it. I don't know. It's weird.
Whatever it's doing, he pressed, like, a mole or something on his head. and
it went back
brought
down.
the hairpiece back to where it was.
But, like, whenever he, like, leans forward quickly, the hair flies up. I don't know. It just makes me really uncomfortable.
He's a really uncomfortable character to look at sometimes.
Like, again, as a kid, I would not have been okay with that.
He's got, like, these small glasses. His skin's, like, all mushy and gross looking. He's got, like, razor sharp teeth, like a shark. Did you notice that?
No, he makes me feel so uncomfortable. I don't want to look at him.
He's missing a hand, and that's where his laser is that he has on his arm.
I do want to know what happened to his hand, but that's all I want to know about him. And I probably, when I find out, won't want to know it.
I don't remember if you ever do find out.
You probably don't.
He also introduces the agents and Scooby and Shaggy to his new assistant, who's, like, the chief scientist, Dr. Trebla. Mm-hmm. When they do get the formula, he's supposed to, like, reconfigure it so that Fibes can become immortal and indestructible and his whole spiel.
Yeah.
And that's when he, again, threatens their lives. And Scooby is like, I don't know where this formula is. He breaks down crying.
He cracked.
My heart cracked.
Scooby is not good under pressure. He is not the one to have down there with you.
He was in tears. There was snot everywhere. Like, he was so fearful of his life in this case.
And I felt really bad because Shaggy just looked at him and he was like, you could tell Shaggy was like, fuck, I have to do something. And I'm like, I could feel that because, like, if somebody I loved was in that position and just, like, broke down crying, you're like, shit, I have to do something.
Right.
So he gives them the formula for hot dog tacos.
He passes it off as the real formula. And Fibes sends them to this, like, dungeon area. And Shaggy's like, oh, I thought you said that we were going to be able to live now. And Fibes says, you will if we don't dive.
They weren't in that room for a whole minute before you hear on the speaker, okay, we're going to dive in a minute.
When they dive, the submarine... They're in a submarine, by the way. We didn't establish that earlier. So, like, all of this is happening now in a submarine. And they're going to dive now. And the dungeon, like, fills with water. That doesn't seem like a good design choice, but okay. So, that's when Shaggy and Scooby realize that the Scooby Snacks are the secret invention. So, the Scooby Snacks give the person who eats them the nanotech powers. And like we said earlier, in this case, it turns Scooby invisible when he eats it. So Shaggy tricks the guards outside the dungeon.
Because he says, The dog escaped and left me, and he's armed.
And dangerous.
Like, it was just a lot.
What is he armed with?
Right. And I like that he's like, the dog left me. Like, he doesn't have a name.
They're not friends.
Yeah,
they don't know each other.
Like, the dog left me, and he's armed and dangerous. Like, what?
But the guards fall for it.
Of course.
And they open the door, and then Scooby bashes their heads against each other, and they faint. And
I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about when they did the transformation.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed it. Every flash that they did spelled out Scooby-Doo.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
I noticed it the second time we watched it. I thought it was a cute little tidbit.
So this is when Scooby is becoming invisible.
Yeah. And so, like, the first flash, it says, like, Scooby-Doo. And then the second one, it's, like, a green computer writing, and it spells out Scooby-Doo. And then the second one is the purple logo, and it says Scooby-Doo.
That's neat.
Yeah. I thought it was
like that.
I thought it was kind of cute. That was a good tidbit. Liked it.
You liked something.
I liked something in the episode. I thought that was pretty good designing.
I don't know. It's sounding to me like you like quite a few things in this episode. You like Roby. You liked that.
That's it.
That's it?
I liked Roby is the only character I like. And Scooby was drawn cute. But that's about it.
So Shaggy and Scooby devise a plan where now that Scooby's invisible, they're going to pretend that Scooby's a ghost. And that he's going to haunt all the agents and scare them. He goes about pantsing them and shooting lasers and knocking them out.
So now we know the scariest thing that Scooby has ever faced
is a ghost. So Fibes now finds all of his agents are like terrified. They're hiding underneath their chairs in the main room.
In the fetal position.
Right. And he's like, what's the meaning of this? And they're like, it's a ghost.
One pantsed me.
So Fibes looks out the window of the submarine because he sees one of his like escape pods swimming away.
Yeah.
And he sees Shaggy and Scooby in it. And he goes, oh, well, it's okay that they escaped now that I have the formula. And that's when Trebla shows up, and he's like, actually, sir, this formula is for hot dog tacos. And that's when Dr. Five responds, but I hate hot dog tacos. Like, you've had them before?
We're going to find out. So then I got insulted because then a whale shark comes and eats the submarine. A whale shark would never. It's disrespectful. We just got done with Shark Week, man. Like, we're supposed to be learning about this shit.
It's a cartoon. Get over it.
A whale shark would never. So then they meet back up with the gang to tell them about their exciting day and how they're billionaires with a mansion.
Right. Fred basically says that, now they're going to be able to go out on their own to solve this mystery, because it's theirs to solve.
Yeah.
And Daphne made a really weird comment. I thought it was weird. I wonder what you thought this. Because she said, I think you two have really grown up. As if she's like an adult, like authority figure to them.
I think she was kind of just meaning like, you guys have matured.
But my thing is, Shaggy's the oldest member of the gang.
But he acts like he's 2.
I don't know. Just a weird comment.
No, I get it. I want to talk about the animation of the gang. Because I said Scooby was drawn cute.
Yeah, I like Scooby a lot, the way he looks in this cartoon.
I think Shaggy is tolerable.
Okay.
Fred actually kind of looks attractive. Like, he's like
his design is appealing.
He looks like a football player.
Okay.
I could see it.
I'm not really sure how old they're supposed to be in this series.
I don't.
They're not teenagers.
No.
I definitely don't think they're teenagers.
Velma looks kind of cute. I like the new hairdo.
I don't.
It's interesting to me.
Velma is actually my least favorite in terms of design in this show. I don't like how she looks in this one.
I hate Daphne's look. Okay, let me rephrase it. Daphne looks cute, but that's not Daphne.
I think it looks like her.
No, it looks like Jessica. That's what I'm naming her.
She looks like a Jessica
She looks like a Jessica.
I don't know. I think she looks fine how she is. I think Velma's the one that looks the weirdest out of all of them.
I mean, her hair is a little more, like, down over her eyes, like...
I don't know. It looks really, like, boxy, in my opinion, the way it's drawn. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate any of their designs, but that's just the one that I like the least.
Okay.
Do you have any more notes on this episode?
I don't.
No? Well, I would love to know your rating for this episode on the Scooby Snack-O-Meter.
I rated it a 2.
A 2?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, explain.
I didn't like any of it. I liked Roby.
Okay.
And that was about it.
That's it.
That was about it. I would rather watch a whole series about the adventures of Roby than ever watch that again.
I mean, talk about what you didn't like specifically, though.
I don't know. None of it was really funny to me. It wasn't there. The characters weren't super hilarious.
What do you think of the plot?
I know there's going to be a plot, and there kind of is one now. I don't know. It just doesn't all connect. Like, I don't know.
It's the first episode.
Yeah. Though. We'll see if it gets better. I don't love it right now.
Okay.
Like, if I was a kid, if I was an adult, whatever, if I watched that, I don't know if I'd tune in for the next episode.
I really thought you were going to rate it a little higher. At least a 3.
I thought about a 3 just because Roby's cute, but, like...
Wasn't enough for you?
It wasn't. It couldn't get me there.
Well, I stress that I'm taking my nostalgia glasses off for this one.
Okay.
Because I did watch this one while it was actually on TV. But I actually tend to go in the opposite direction of most Scooby-Doo fans when talking about this one. I actually do like this series.
And I know you were excited about it.
I gave this episode a 6.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it myself. I think that the main 5 characters, Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, Fred, I think they're all still very characteristic to what they usually are. Like, I don't think Shaggy and Scooby are really deviating that much from what I would expect in this kind of scenario.
Okay.
I think that Fibes is a really charismatic person. I think he's very eccentric, kind of cheesy, but so is the series, so it's okay. Roby's hilarious. I love Roby. The agents aren't my favorite, I'll admit. They're kind of the ones that I think are the weaker point of this series in terms of comedy and plot. The plot itself is fun. I like the fact that the Scooby Snacks become the focal point, and episode to episode they do something that actually impacts the story.
Okay.
Like I said, I know that invisibility is not the only power that Scooby's going to gain from the Scooby Snacks with the nanotechnology. From what I have seen, I know that there's some really cool things to come. And because of that, I think that this episode does set it up nicely, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with my 6.
Well, and you've seen more of the series, so you know if it's all going to connect together. This is my first episode, first time seeing it. I may rate the episodes higher in the future. This one just didn't have it.
Well, I'm trying to also just keep it in the context of this episode because, I'm trying to forget the rest of the series and just focus on this one. And like I said, I think it does set up the plot adequately where it doesn't give you all the answers, and it doesn't need to, because this show does go on for 26 episodes total. So there's still a lot to unfold, even if it's not always continuing the central plot of Uncle Albert going missing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I enjoyed it, so I'm sticking with my 6.
Okay.
And with that, our official Scooby Snack-O-Meter rating for Shags to Riches is a 4.
Higher than what I wanted it to be.
And it's lower than what I wanted it to be, so we're just going to have to compromise.
Okay.
So, are you ready for the fun fact for the week?
Of course. I know you said it has to do with Shaggy's voice, so yes. I am interested.
So, Shaggy is voiced by Scott Menville in this series. It's not voiced by Casey Kasem, which is really weird. Especially because Casey Kasem does do voice acting in this series, just not with Shaggy. But the fun fact of the week is that Scott Menville also voiced Red Herring in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
Oh.
Same voice actor.
That makes me feel uncomfortable.
I was just doing some research about this series just to kind of get a little bit more of a background before we started, and I discovered that, and I thought it was really cool.
I don't know. That makes me feel weird, because, like...
Now you're never going to look at Red Herring the same again.
Exactly. Well, and because, like, how do you go from Red Herring to Shaggy? And I also don't love Shaggy's voice.
I don't either.
So, like...
I'll admit, I don't like Shaggy's voice in this series either.
And then... You said Casey Kasem does voice acting in the series, so I want to know, like, how that conversation went.
I think he voices Uncle Albert. But Scott Menville doesn't only voice Shaggy in this series either. He also voices one of the agents for Dr. Phibes.
Okay.
And he also voices Dr. Trebla.
Oh.
We didn't talk about Dr. Trebla.
No, I like him.
He said one word, really, which was like greetings and also...
just like his quiet demeanor.
He's cute. Cute character.
Yeah, I can get behind him.
He didn't impact my score either way, so
No.
I don't really feel like he needed to be that big of a conversation.
No, I don't hate him. We'll go with that. Because I hate a lot about this episode. I don't hate him.
So do you have any other final comments about this series before we move on to our next episode?
No, I think I'm all right.
Okay.
Let's talk about our next episode. Because I'm excited about this one.
I was talking to Shannon before we started recording tonight. I said, the next series is going to be a really fun one for you. And she's like, why? And I said, because we're going from a series that I know you're not going to like to a series I know that you love. And that is Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
It is one of my favorite series. If not my favorite series in the Scooby-Doo. You know what? In the Scooby-Doo genre, but like also... overall, like, if I had to pick a series to watch for the rest of my life, it'd be in the top 5. Mm-hmm. I do really, really like it.
We'll save the rest of our conversation about this series for next week, but we did want to let you guys know what episode we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching this show in order, like we have with Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue and the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. So, chronologically, the first episode is Beware the Beast from Below. Our premise for this episode is coming from Scoobypedia. After being jailed for solving a mystery, the gang stumbles upon yet another case. A slime mutant that lives underneath Crystal Cove is cocooning anyone who gets in its way. Despite being warned not to continue investigating by their parents and the police, the gang attempt to solve the mystery anyway.
Sounds like the gang to me.
Yep. So, Shannon, where can our listeners come and talk to us if they want to talk further about Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue or Mystery Incorporated?
You can contact us on Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast or shoot us an email at thatgroovyscoobcast@gmail.com.
We also always share cool Scooby-Doo content on the Do Central Tumblr and Instagram pages at Do Central. That's where I share my personal collection, as well as any news, fun facts, or other awesome stuff.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed that Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for a Scooby Snack-filled time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.